Historic World War II. Ship discovered in the Pacific. A shocking find for scientists. Recently, in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, nearly 2,300 feet below the surface, where sunlight cannot reach and all traces of humanity seem to have been erased by time, archaeologists touched a poignant piece of the world's history. The severed bow of the USS New Orleans, a warship that silently witnessed the blood and tears of World War II. This ship was once a symbol of might and valor, but in November 1942, during the brutal Battle of Tassafaronga, it was struck by Japanese torpedoes, destroying nearly one-third of its hull, including the entire bow, and killing more than 180 sailors. Miraculously, despite the flooding and shattered structure, the crew refused to surrender. They fought tirelessly to keep the ship afloat, and their heroism earned them 3 prestigious Navy medals. Nearly 83 years later, thanks to modern technology like the remotely operated vehicle, ROV, Hercules, and the unmanned survey vessel Drix, an expedition team aboard the Nautilus traced the remnants of this historical wreck. Diving through hundreds of feet of pitch-black water, they finally located the lost bow section, now resting silently in Iron Bottom Sound off the coast of the Solomon Islands. This was no lucky discovery. It was the result of relentless research, poring over archived files, declassified naval maps, and heartfelt testimonies from survivors. Frank Thompson, one of the leading archaeologists from the U.S. Navy, shared that reviewing sailor diaries and sworn statements helped the team identify specific areas to search. And then, they found it. A lone anchor resting on the seafloor, followed by the unmistakable structural lines of the USS New Orleans emerging through the deep, as if time had never moved. This discovery wasn't just a scientific mission, it was an emotional journey. The entire world bore witness to the moment of rediscovery through a 24-hour live stream. Experts from countries once at war, Japan, Germany, and Russia, watched together, proving that history isn't just about remembering pain, but also about healing, understanding, and honoring those who came before us. Finding the USS New Orleans is more than an archaeological achievement. It is a powerful reminder of courage and sacrifice, of those who gave their lives in the depths of the ocean to defend their ideals. And today, we become the witnesses to a resurrection of a lost fragment of the 20th century's soul, buried for decades beneath the waves. But this isn't the end. This is just one of many incredible discoveries made in recent years by brave archaeologists and explorers. From the ocean floor to deadly deserts, dark mountain caves to deep underground chambers, they've uncovered mysteries beyond imagination. Curious to know what they found? Don't take your eyes off the screen. Join me as we continue this journey of discovery right now. The 80 skeletons in shackles, found in ancient Greek tomb, a shocking mystery tied to a coup 2,600 years ago. An ancient cemetery in Greece, thought to have lain undisturbed for millennia beneath layers of earth and stone, suddenly became the epicenter of archaeological attention after a chilling discovery. While construction workers were building a modern opera house and national library in the Faliro Delta area, a coastal region near Athens, they accidentally opened a gateway to the past. Buried underground were 80 skeletons, all adult males, ranging from young adults to middle-aged. But the most haunting detail wasn't the number. It was the iron shackles still clamped around their wrists, as if these men were condemned prisoners, eternally bound between the realms of the living and the dead. What first drew experts' attention was the burial style. Some of the bodies were neatly arranged in rows, laid out straight and orderly. Others were stacked on top of each other, their limbs twisted, jaws gaping open, as if caught mid-scream in their final moments. Yet none of the skeletons showed signs of violent trauma, and their teeth were almost perfectly preserved, indicating that they had died while still strong and healthy. This ruled out the possibility that they were executed slaves or common criminals. On the contrary, the respectful way they were interred raised disturbing questions. Who were they? Why were they shackled? And what caused them all to die at the same time? Though definitive answers remain elusive, 2 ceramic jars found alongside the skeletons helped archaeologists date the burial to the 7th century BCE, over 2,600 years ago. The site, part of the ancient Faliro Delta necropolis, spans more than 110 acres and once held at least 1,500 burials, including infants buried in ceramic vessels and adults in stone coffins. But the group of 80 shackled men stood apart. Unlike other scattered burials, these men were laid to rest together in a purposeful, systematic manner. suggesting a layered and deliberate act, full of meaning yet to be fully decoded. One compelling historical theory quickly surfaced, tied to a controversial figure from ancient Athenian history, Cylon. An aristocrat and former Olympic champion, Cylon attempted a coup in 632 BCE to seize power in Athens. Backed by his father-in-law, the tyrant of Megara, Cylon led a force into the city, but the uprising failed disastrously. While Cylon himself escaped and sought sanctuary in a sacred temple at the Acropolis, his followers weren't as lucky. According to several ancient accounts, they were captured and executed in secret. Could these 80 shackled skeletons be the remains of Cylon's supporters, men who fought under his command and were killed after the rebellion collapsed? That question is slowly being explored through ongoing DNA testing. Archaeologist Stella Chrysolaki noted that if the DNA results show shared genetic markers and similar ages, it could confirm that these were indeed young, strong men, perhaps even idealistic warriors, captured and buried alive as a brutal form of punishment, both to exact revenge and to send a warning to future dissenters. However, not all scholars agree with the executed rebels hypothesis. Some propose a more radical theory. Could this have been a mass human sacrifice during a time of intense political and religious upheaval in ancient Greece? In many ancient civilizations, live sacrifices were not uncommon, offered to appease the gods or secure peace for the city-state. In that context, the iron shackles, seen as symbols of guilt, might have actually been part of a sacred ritual that we no longer understand. Whether they were fallen warriors, executed traitors, or ritual offerings, the shackled skeletons remain a chilling enigma. One thing, however, is certain. These men once lived, once fought, and were ultimately swept up in the ruthless tides of history. Today they speak to us, not through words, but through bones grown cold and silent scars carved into their remains, waiting for the modern world to listen and understand. Perhaps deep beneath the ancient soil, other stories like this still lie hidden, waiting for curious hands to unearth them, and for brave eyes willing to face the truth, no matter how haunting it may be. Do you feel the same? Or do you have an even bolder theory? Let me know in the comments below. Nabta Playa, the 11,000-year-old mystery that could rewrite the origins of ancient Egyptian civilization. You may have heard of the pyramids of Giza, the tombs of the pharaohs, or the giant Sphinx statues, but few know that deep within the arid Nubian desert, about 62 miles west of Abu Simbel, lies an archaeological site that has left scientists stunned. Nabta Playa. This isn't just another excavation site, it's the remnants of an advanced urban community that existed over 11,000 years ago, a time when much of the world was still living in hunter-gatherer societies. What makes Nabta Playa truly remarkable is that it could be the missing link in the formation of ancient Egyptian civilization. Hundreds of prehistoric graves, strange engraved stelae, and a system of megalithic structures aligned along a strict north-south axis serve as undeniable evidence that the people of Nabta Playa did not live by instinct alone. They had a complex belief system and a sophisticated understanding of astronomy. In the northern area of the site, archaeologists discovered a cluster of 12 sandstone megaliths, more than just upright stones. Beneath them were burial pits containing the remains of cattle, cows, goats, and sheep. One burial in particular stood out, a young calf interred in a pit about 26 feet wide and nearly 3 feet deep. Why would ancient people go to such great lengths to bury a single animal? It appears that Nabta Playa wasn't just a cemetery, it was a sacred ceremonial center where livestock was ritually sacrificed. The slaughter and burial of animals, especially cattle, suggests an early form of religious practice involving divine worship. Some scholars have drawn connections between this and the later cult of the cow goddess Hathor in ancient Egypt, who symbolized life, love, beauty, and fertility. But if Hathor didn't emerge until millennia later, could the rituals at Nabta Playa have actually been the origin of that belief system? Is it mere coincidence, or a long-forgotten connection waiting to be uncovered? The mystery deepens. At Nabta Playa, archaeologists also found what they call rock slabs, mushroom-shaped stone formations naturally formed by thousands of years of erosion. Curiously, these rocks were buried several feet beneath layers of desert clay and sand, completely invisible to the naked eye at the time. This raises a fundamental question. How did the people of Nabta Playa even find them? One theory suggests they stumbled upon the rocks while digging wells. But could such chance discoveries truly lead to the creation of elaborate carvings on buried stones? Once the locations were identified, the people positioned the convex sides of the rocks to face north, then erected large stone blocks on top of them. Some were even carved into shapes resembling cows or other animals, held in place with chalks and filled in with sediment. These structures are estimated to date from around 5500 to 5000 BCE. Radiocarbon dating was used to determine the age of the surrounding features, but the reason why these ancient people created such monuments remains an unsolved riddle. Perhaps they were primitive stone calendars used for tracking seasons, or symbols of religion and cosmology far beyond what we understand today. Then, this civilization vanished. Around 5,000 years ago, the climate changed, the harsh desert returned, and the people of Nabta were forced to abandon what had once been a thriving ceremonial hub. Shockingly, archaeologist J. McKim Malville proposed that the inhabitants of Nabta Playa may have later settled in the Nile Valley, laying the groundwork for the birth of ancient Egyptian cities and culture. Just 500 years after Nabta collapsed, the Step Pyramid of Saqqara, one of Egypt's earliest monumental structures, was built. This may have been the result of a well-organized migration of a knowledgeable people with expertise in astronomy, cosmology, and religious ritual, all of which the people of Nabta Playa clearly possessed. The mother and child skeletons, locked in an eternal embrace for 6,000 years. In the peaceful town of Nieuwegein, in the province of Utrecht, the Netherlands, once home to Stone Age hunter-gatherer communities, archaeologists unearthed a secret buried beneath the earth for over 6,000 years. It wasn't a treasure of gold or precious gems, nor the grave of a powerful leader, but rather a moment frozen in time. The remains of a woman lying still, her arms wrapped tightly around a small infant. This astonishing discovery was made during an archaeological excavation conducted by RAAP, a research organization based in Leiden. As the team excavated a Stone Age burial site, they uncovered 4 skeletons, one of which was a woman whose right arm was bent in an unusual position. Unlike the typical straight parallel posture seen in burials from that period, her arm curved inward, as if holding something. With meticulous care and patience, the archaeologists removed layers of compacted clay and gradually revealed a heart-wrenching truth. Nestled within the woman's embrace were the fragile bones of a newborn, estimated to have been only a few months old at the time of death. Hella Molthoff, a member of the research team, recalled the emotional impact of the moment they saw the baby's tiny milk teeth, miraculously preserved after 6 millennia. She noted how eerily similar they looked to the baby teeth that modern parents often save as keepsakes. That resemblance made the distance of thousands of years feel strangely close, as if the love of a Stone Age mother had somehow endured across time in that silent embrace. Scientists estimate that the woman was between 27 and 30 years old at the time of her death. Based on the positioning of the remains and the fragments of the infant's bones, researchers believe this was indeed a mother and her child buried together. To confirm the biological relationship, the team conducted DNA testing. Although the results have yet to be released, all signs point to one of the oldest archaeological records of maternal love ever discovered. The posture of the woman holding her baby has raised new questions about the funerary practices of the hunter-gatherer communities that once lived along the Vecht River. While previous research has provided insight into their daily lives, what they ate, how they lived, where they traveled, almost nothing was known about how they dealt with death, especially the loss of a child. That eternal embrace could represent a belief in an afterlife, an inseparable bond between mother and child, or simply a profoundly human instinct that transcends all cultures. The 3,500-year-old Tomb of Gold, an ancient warrior, resting among timeless treasures. In the arid lands of ancient Pylos, once the beating heart of Mycenaean Greece, a secret lay buried in silence for more than 3,500 years, until the modern light of archaeology brought it back into the world. It wasn't the ruins of a crumbling palace or a forgotten temple to the gods. It was a tomb, one of the most extraordinary burial discoveries in Greek archaeological history. What made it remarkable wasn't just its age, but what lay within. A Bronze Age warrior interred not in mere soil like most of his time, but surrounded by a breathtaking hoard of gold, silver, and precious stones. A discovery that stunned the world, left scientists speechless and seemed to freeze time in awe of a distant past. The excavation took 5 years and was led by 2 American archaeologists, Jack Davis and Sharon Stocker, a husband and wife team whose lifelong passion for ancient history brought them from the University of Cincinnati to the heart of Greece. Their goal was simple at first: to uncover fragments that might shed light on everyday life in Mycenaean times. But as they dug deeper, they unearthed something no one had dared to imagine: a tomb untouched by time, and a warrior buried like a king, encircled by treasures beyond belief. The man in the grave, likely a powerful warrior or perhaps a local ruler, was buried around 1450 BCE at the height of the Bronze Age, when the Mycenaean civilization was on the rise. From the earliest moments of the excavation, the archaeologists were astonished by what they found. Over 3,500 artifacts surrounded the skeleton: golden armor, finely crafted weapons, intricately carved rings, necklaces, and ornaments fashioned from silver, bronze, and rare gems such as carnelian, lapis lazuli, and even lapis imported from distant regions like Afghanistan. This was no ordinary burial. It was proof of wealth, yes, but also of international influence, or at least strong connections to trade routes that extended far beyond the Aegean world. Among the thousands of items uncovered, many displayed craftsmanship so advanced it forced experts to reevaluate what they thought they knew about the technical and artistic capabilities of the Bronze Age. Some pendants bore mythological scenes, others featured carved seals depicting battle rituals and religious ceremonies, evidence of an artistic legacy that defied time. Beyond material value, each item offered a clue, a window into the beliefs, social structures, and cultural practices of a civilization long thought lost. According to Dr. James Wright, a leading scholar in Greek archaeology, the tomb's location held special meaning. It lay at the crossroads of 2 great cultures, mainland Greece and the flourishing Minoan civilization of Crete. This explains why so many of the artifacts bear the hallmarks of Cretan art, from spiral motifs to sacred religious symbols. The tomb is more than a grave. It is a living testament to the cultural exchange and mutual influence between 2 of the ancient world's most brilliant societies. The true value of this tomb doesn't lie in the amount of gold buried with the warrior, but in the untold stories carried by each object. A single mask may reveal ancient funeral rites. A sword might bear the scars of legendary battles. A bracelet could symbolize power, faith, or identity. Every artifact carries the breath of a lost era, an era when people didn't just survive, but lived with artistry, belief, and a fierce desire to leave their mark on the future. A 2,000-year-old treasure, discovered beneath the streets of Rome. What began as an ordinary morning at a construction site at the foot of Aventine Hill in Rome quickly turned into the beginning of a monumental archaeological discovery. Why do I say that? Because while workers were reinforcing a luxury apartment complex to make it earthquake-resistant, they stumbled upon a strange underground layer deep beneath the ground. At first, they assumed it was just the remains of an old foundation, but when an ancient stone doorway was pried open, all doubts vanished. What lay before them was a magnificent Roman structure buried for over 2,000 years, yet preserved in stunning detail, a hidden villa resting beneath the modern city. This wasn't some remote, isolated location. In fact, it sat directly beneath an old apartment block where hundreds of residents had lived for decades, completely unaware that an ancient world had been sleeping quietly just below their feet. When this door to the past was accidentally opened, it revealed not only a fragment of the Roman Empire's glorious history, but also left archaeologists around the world astonished by how incredibly well-preserved the site was. The villa was built in classic Roman architectural style, grand in scale and intricate in detail, down to the very last brick. Most astonishing of all was its flooring, 6 distinct layers, stacked through time, all covered in elaborate mosaic artworks. These mosaics were made from billions of polished micro-marbles, placed with a level of precision that was typically reserved for imperial construction. And it wasn't just the floors. The walls too were adorned with mosaic panels and slabs of rare marble, glimmering like they were installed yesterday. Surrounding the villa, archaeologists found a collection of ancient marble busts, still intact in form and detail, powerful visual evidence of the wealth and status of the villa's former owner. Going deeper into the architecture, experts believe the villa dates back to the Roman Republic era, roughly between 509 and 27 BCE, a golden age of political power and artistic achievement in Roman history. According to Dr. Daniela Porro, one of Rome's top cultural heritage experts, the richness and sophistication of the interior decor strongly suggest that this home once belonged to an extremely powerful figure, possibly someone closely connected to the royal family or high-ranking nobility of ancient Rome. But beyond the beauty of its architecture, what truly shocked the archaeological world was the mystery of how such a remarkable villa had been forgotten. Based on geological and archaeological studies, researchers discovered that the ground beneath the structure had suffered multiple collapses, especially beginning in the 2nd century CE. The cause? A network of artificial underground cavities created by centuries of stone mining. The newest layer of the villa's floor had even sunk nearly 3.3 feet compared to the rest of the structure, causing widespread damage that eventually led to the site's abandonment and burial. But the story of this ancient marvel doesn't end there. After its discovery, BNP Paribas Real Estate, the company that owns the apartment complex above, partnered with the city of Rome to invest over $3.25 million USD into restoration efforts. Their goal wasn't just to preserve it, but to share it with the public. Soon, this underground Roman villa will open its doors as a private museum, with ticket prices around $11 USD. Visitors will be able to walk through its halls, witness its mosaics up close, and experience the world of ancient Rome, right where history was once made. So if you're a history lover or an explorer at heart, this is one golden opportunity you absolutely can't miss. Dear friends, and just like that, the mystery of the 2,000-year-old treasure beneath the streets of Rome has come to a close. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming discoveries. Until next time, goodbye and see you soon.